Okay, everybody, Tim back here at the keyboard once again. And like I said in the intro today, we are talking about how to hear the differences between major chords, minor chords, diminished chords, and of course, augmented chords, the chords we've learned about in the lessons so far. So today is all about hearing them, though. We've talked about what they look like and how to play them. But today we are all about how to listen for the differences between them so you know that you're playing the correct chord. This is all part of ear training, and the better you are at ear training, the more it will help you in your piano playing, of course. So, if you know what these chords look like on the piano, what I'll have you do is before I ask you what the answer is, I'll have you close your eyes, which is kind of strange, but if you know what they look like, you have to look away from the keyboard. It only works like that because that'll be cheating otherwise. So let's get right onto the lesson here. So we're going to just talk about major chords first and talk about the sounds of major chords. So here's just a major chord, D major. Now, let me play an octave lower. How does that chord sound to you? What kind of emotion or what kind of idea do you associate with that chord? Now, what every other teacher says, and I included, say, the chord sounds bright and happy. It doesn't sound sad. In contrast, that would be the minor, which we'll talk about in a second. So it has a brighter sound. Sometimes if you arpeggiate the chord, you get an even more like it's easier to hear that that's major, in my opinion. A lot of students who I train in ear training as well find it a little bit easier if I play them in arpeggio sometimes when they're first starting out. But all major chords will sound happy no matter where they are. Now what tends to happen is as you listen to chords lower and lower on the keyboard, it gets harder and harder to tell whether they're major or minor. I mean, I can still tell right there, but what if I move it down to the bottom octave? It gets a lot harder. It's because those notes get really muddy down there. Same thing up here. I mean, I can hear those differences, but it gets harder and harder as you move up. So when you're ear training, you always want to stick to the middle of the piano. So just remember that major chords sound bright and happy. Contrasting to that is the minor chord, which sounds sad. Notice how when I arpeggio, you can really hear the difference. Here's the major one. There's the minor coming in. It really makes you feel sad. It's been raining a lot where I live, so it's perfect for today. But anyway, so we're just going to listen for the differences between major chords and minor chords. So here is your first chord. If you would please look away or close your eyes and don't look at the keyboard as I play the chord. So here we go. I'm going to play it, and then you're going to tell me or think about what chord it might be. So what do you think? Now think about it for a little bit. Don't look at the keyboard just yet. Does that sound happy to you, or does it sound sad? Now, you may have answered happy, right? But let me play the opposite for you. Ah, there we go. Notice how that one sounded much brighter. So the original one I played is minor. So when you first do these, if you do these with a teacher, probably the best thing they can do is play them back to back first, so then you can hear the differences. And then after a while, after you practice a few sessions, you'll be able to hear these chords just, one at a time. You may be able to already, but some of us don't pick it up quite as fast. Some of us pick up your training quite slow. I at first picked it up really slow, and you just have to persevere until you get it. Okay, actually, don't look at don't look at the screen again. Okay, what kind of chord do you think that is? Do you think it's major or minor? What if I play it in an arpeggio? What do you think? Well, it certainly sounds major, right? It has that bright and happy to it. Contrasting, I'll let you hear that. Notice how, oops, it has has a sadder quality to it. Let's try just a few more of these major and minors. Here is another one. So look away from the keyboard again, or close your eyes. Here comes the chord we're going to talk about. Let me play it again. Now, what do you think? Major or minor? Well, does it sound sad to you? Well, let me play the opposite. Ah, that one is the sadder one, right? Therefore, this one has to be, you can look at the keyboard now, has to be a major chord. And specifically, that's a B major chord. Okay, now we are going to just test on two more, I think, so look away from the keyboard now. What do you think? Do you think that's a major chord or minor chord? Think about it, write it in the comments, of course, if you want to. If I play it like that, sounds pretty minor to me, because that would be major, and there's our minor there. Okay, one more, look away from the keyboard one more time. What do you think? I would say that's major, right? So how'd you do? Were you with me, or did you like hear things differently than I said, and then when I played the other one you're like, oh, now it makes sense. Just think about how you did, and that's really your starting point in learning how to ear train. Like, some people will get this right away. They'll think I'm actually going way too slow, but some people will think I'm going way too fast, because there's a huge difference I've found with how students pick up ear training. Some of them pick it up very, very well. There's a lot of students in the middle, as how things go. And then there are some students that take, and it's a good number of students too. If you take longer to learn ear training, it doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. There are a lot of music students out there, and it doesn't mean that you can't learn it. Just stick with it, and you'll get it soon. So let's talk about our next type of chord here. Right? Pretty unsettling, I would say, is the sound. Uneasiness, very tense and sinister, I would say. It's like the train is coming, and it's coming to get you. You're tied on the railroad tracks, and that's how I describe that chord. What kind of chord is that? That chord is the diminished chord. The diminished chord is sinister, scary, tense. It just isn't very pleasant to listen to. So the hard part about this one is when you listen for the three types of chords we have talked about so far: major, minor, and diminished. The difference between major and the other two is very easy to hear. However, a lot of students struggle with minor and diminished. And why is that? Well, you can look at the keyboard for sure. Well, there's only one note different. Like, minor is D, F, A, or if I was playing D minor, sorry. D diminished would be D, F, A flat. There's only one note difference. Know that the word diminished means to make smaller. So you're making the chord smaller. So if the notes sound more clustered together, then you're talking about a diminished chord probably rather than a minor. But chances are in the beginning you will mistake minor for diminished. That's just the way it goes. You'll have to continue practicing those until you got it mastered. So here we go. There's a diminished, right? Ew, it's unsettling. Let me test you on one. Now you have to look away from the keyboard. Let me ask you what you think. So I'm going to play a chord. What do you think? I'll only play it maybe 2 octaves. That'll help you fill out the sound more. Is it major, minor, or diminished? Would you say that that is a sinister sound or a dark, scary sound? I wouldn't think so, right? What about sad? Not so much. I would say it's a happy chord, therefore it is a major chord. Now let's try another one. It's going to get a little trickier now. So look away from the keyboard once again. What is that, right? Does it make you feel settled? Does it make you feel calm? Definitely not. If it made you feel calm, it'd probably be closer to major. This, right? It makes you feel uneasy a bit. So that is going to be a diminished chord. Now let me try another one. So look away once again. What about that? Well, does it sound happy? Not really. Does it sound scary though? Or does it just sound sad, right? That's so hard to hear, right? Or like, well, it definitely has a darker sound to it. I can hear that. But I really can't hear the difference between the minor and the diminished. How am I going to hear that difference? Well, there it is, right? You can definitely hear it when I play the one after the other. So the first one was minor. It had a dark sound to it, but it wasn't quite tense like that and scary, sinister. So here we go. Let me play a couple more for you. Look away from the keyboard once again. That's the key for today. What do you think? Major, minor, or diminished? Well, it's certainly not uplifting and happy, right? So, but does it make you feel tense? Not really. So it has to be minor. And there we go. So that's how you hear the difference. You know, first you really want to ask yourself when you hear a chord, so you can look for this one. Sorry about that. Itchy nose with the allergies. But anyway, so let's... The first thing you want to do, that's where I was going with this. First thing you want to do when you hear a chord is ask yourself, does it sound happy or sad? It sounds happy, so it has to be major. Now, does it sound happy or sad? It definitely sounds more sad. And then once you get to that point, go one step further and say, all right, is it sad? Or is it tense or not tense? It makes me feel a bit tense, right? So that has to be diminished instead of minor. So just go through that decision tree in your mind. Is it happy or sad? And then you want to go down even further. Is it sad? Or is it just sad? Or is it sad and tense and, makes you feel uneasy? Oh, I'll get to you in a minute, Rich. That's a great thing you brought up. Let me make the chat a little bit bigger so I can see what's happening. So back to our ear training session. So we will get to Rich's comment here in a little bit, knowing that it's G major. Oh, let's see. Okay. Hey, buddy. Are you somebody that I know, Tim? Oh, my goodness. All right, so let's take a look at some of these. So the next type of chord we're going to talk about is a tough one because it sounds similar to diminished. There's diminished. And there's this one. Ooh, both unsettling, right? What do we do if there's two unsettling chords? This is where it gets really difficult, in my opinion, between the four basic types of triads: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Augmented is tense, right? But I would say it's more mysterious than dark. Like, that has a dark sound to it, and that's because it has a minor third in it. Actually, two minor thirds on top of one another. It sounds dark. If you play the augmented, it doesn't sound so much dark as it does like it's like a cliffhanger or something. It's just mysterious. It's, it's just slightly different. Both are tense, and it will trigger you differently. The word trigger makes me laugh, but it will trigger you differently. Like, sometimes you'll hear it and you'll be like, oh man, it's a diminished chord. But if you think about it a little bit more, you can hear the difference and really hear the augmentedness of the chord. So let's play it. Let's play another augmented chord, so you can continue looking there. So I just played this chord and pretend like we were doing our normal thing where we're trying to listen what the difference is, right? Well, remember, first thing you ask yourself is happy or sad? Well, it's really hard to say, right? Right off the bat. It's really hard to say. It's definitely not that where it sounds really nice and stable. It has a tense sound to it, but I wouldn't say it sounds sad or dark either. It has somewhat of a brighter quality to it. So we're probably going more towards the augmented than the diminished. Now let me play one more. Now, when I hear that one, hear how it has a little bit darker of a tone to it. Notice also how the notes sound a little bit closer together. Remember, the word diminish means to make smaller, so you're actually making the intervals between the notes smaller, and when you're doing an augmented chord, you're literally making the notes, the distances between the notes larger. The word augment means to make large. So you hear that one and you hear, oh, well, maybe the notes are a little bit more spread apart. And then that one you could hear they're a little bit more clustered together. So let me play one now. Now you're not allowed to look at the keyboard, or the screen rather. So let me play one. Now what would you say? Would you say right away, you can hear the tense, right? Is it tense? And it is. Now, is it bright or dark? Well, let me play the opposite of this chord. So the first one definitely had a darker sound to it. And it definitely sounds scary, more scary than mysterious. So therefore, the chord must be diminished. And if you got it wrong, you thought it was augmented, like I said, when you first start doing this ear training, it is very, very difficult, and you will get it wrong probably, unless you're, just really good at this. And don't feel bad. I got it wrong a lot at first too. And a lot of times what happens too, I want to explain about ear training, is that if you do ear training for long enough, say more than 15, 20 minutes, what will start to happen is your mind will start to mix up the sounds. It's a very strange kind of phenomenon. I don't know if you can call it that, but it's a very strange thing that happens. It's almost like smelling too many perfumes, like if you were, or even if you were like tasting wine, right? Especially with alcohol, because alcohol ruins your ability to taste anything really, or just makes it all kind of mashed together. It's kind of like that. I mean, maybe I should compare it to drinking alcohol, but anyway, what really happens, the point is that eventually your brain starts to mix all these things together. And if you were like, say, a professional perfume smeller, I'm sure there's something out there like that, you would start to get confused. You need something to cleanse your palate, whether it's in your nose or your mouth for taste. You need something so you can smell or taste again, right? So if you're tasting one thing right after the other, it's really, really difficult. Your brain just starts to mix it all together. So it's very common as well to have more and more trouble as your practice session goes on. Oh, very good, Tim. Glad to have you. Glad to have everybody with us today. Okay, we're going to do a few more of these chords. So I'm going to play one. It's going to be any four of these chords. Now you have to look away. Now, what do you think? Now the first question, I said, first question you ask yourself, is it happy or sad? Well, it's definitely not happy. So that rules out the major. That also kind of rules out the augmented, because one thing I forgot to mention is the difference between a major and an augmented chord is one note, the top note. So they both have a brighter quality to them. Now I don't remember what the original chord, let's pretend like that was the original chord I played. But anyway, it has a darker sound to it. Therefore, if it's sadder and darker, is it tense? Right? That's the next question you want to ask yourself. It's not very tense. It's more stable, but sadder. So therefore, the chord must be minor. Remember that major, it has to sound happy, has to sound stable. Minor, it has to sound sad, has to sound stable. Like by stable, it means it doesn't make you feel tense or like you're about to jump off a bridge or something. But the other two are definitely tense. So diminished is tense and dark, and augmented is tense and maybe slightly bit brighter, more of a mysterious sound. You can definitely hear the notes are further apart. So remember to go through that decision process. Here we go. Here's another one. Don't look at the keyboard if you did already. Sorry about that. It's definitely bright, right? So it has to be major. I know it right away. So eventually you're going to get so good at these that you can get them without, much thought or much trouble. Let's try another one. Look away from the keyboard, please. So, right away, is it happy? No, right? Would you say it's sad? Well, maybe it's on the sadder side. Ask yourself, is it tense? Yeah, it has a tense sound to it. So that rules out major and minor, right? It's not happy, rules out major. Not tense, or it's not stable, it rules out minor. It has a tense sound to it. So now we're whittling it down between augmented or diminished. Well, the notes sound close together. Well, they could, right? Now let me play the opposite for you. Oh, yeah, you hear how that's tense too, but they're more spread apart. So therefore, this one has to be diminished. All right, let's try another one. Let's try one more. All right, look away if you haven't already. And what do you think? Like, just closing my eyes, listening to it. It sounds happy, right? Peaceful, stable. So it must be major. We already figured it out. Major is probably the easiest one to hear. And then as you drill down, minor and diminished is a little fuzzy, and then diminished and augmented is probably the hardest one to hear. And like I said, as you practice these, it will get more and more difficult to hear the differences. Okay, everybody, I think that really does it for the lesson today. We're probably going to have a practice session of this at some point where I ask you more about these chords. But today, the point of today's lesson is just to be able to hear the differences between these four chords, because knowing what they look like is one thing, but being able to listen to them and hear them, you'll be able to pick out the mistakes in your own piano playing. So very, very helpful stuff. And if you want to learn a lot more about how to hear these chords, I have an ear training course over on my website, lessonsontheweb.com. As part of the Lessons on the Web Academy, there's a ton of videos as well as like printable examples and everything over there. So once the live stream's done, head over to lessonsontheweb.com. I really, really recommend it. But yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there. But stick around. We're not going anywhere quite yet. I'm going to answer some questions. Rich had a really good question where he said, I could hear the differences between the chords, but I don't know what the name of the chord is, right? Now, that's a two-edged question, because now, Rich, do you mean you don't know what chord it is, like if it's written down on sheet music, or you don't know what chord it is when you play it here? Because there's a bunch of answers to that. Now, I can actually do it. Yeah, let me do this. Let me boot this up. So there's going to be like a step 2 to this lesson here. And let me get everything. It should be set up already, but let me change the screen around for us. So just give me a minute or so, and I'll have everything ready so I can explain this the best way possible. Thank you, Allie. Very nice of you to say that. Thank you, Tim is your daddy, LOL. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's see. Here we go, everybody. Okay, hold on. And if anybody is thinking, what is this crazy software you're using, Tim? It is StaffPad. Okay, so here's the deal. Say you have a chord written down, and it's this. Oops. Okay. So say you have this chord right here, and you're like, well, what is the name of that chord? Is it major or minor? Or what is going on here? There's two ways to figure this out. One, you can use your ear training knowledge, and you play these 3 notes. And you're like, does it sound major or minor, right? Well, it sounds bright and happy, so that's major. So you can apply it in figuring this out. So the first thing you want to do is play the notes you have. And then you ask yourself, is this chord in any kind of inversion? Well, what does that mean, right? Well, if it's not in an inversion, it's evenly stacked. You see how like those are stacked almost like a snowman, like perfect, right? There's nothing crazy or weird looking about any of that chord. It looks very standard. What if I do this though? Or even that. You see how now there's a gap between the notes? Well, that tells you right away it's in some kind of inversion. So we know that this is not an inversion, therefore it's called root position. Well, what does that mean? You have to know what that means for it to mean anything. That means the name of the chord, the root of the chord, is on the bottom. That is the root. And hey, that note's F. So we are dealing with an F major chord, or an F major triad to be more exact. You play it, it sounds major, and F is the bottom note. It's in root position. Now, what if it was like this, like I've had it before? Well, right away, that's an inversion, right? Things get a little trickier here. So if the chord has a bigger space between the top two notes, like here and here, well, that means it's in first inversion. Well, what does that mean? That basically means now that the root of the chord is no longer on the bottom as it was here. Instead, is now on the top. So it's still an F chord. You just have to know that because it's an inversion, the name or the root of the chord is now up top and not on the bottom. Now, what if it was like this? Oh no, what do we do? Well, there's a bigger space at the bottom of the chord, right? So that tells us we're in second inversion. Anytime you see a second inversion chord, the root of the chord is right smack dab right in the middle. So it's still F major, but it's now in the middle. So depending on what inversion of it is the note you're going to be looking for to be the root or the name of the chord. Remember that if it's root position, name of the chord will be on the bottom. If it's first inversion, it'll be on the top. And if it's second inversion, it'll be right in the middle. Sorry about that. Whew. Allergies get me. So that's how you do it. Let me do one more. What about this chord? So the first thing you want to do is ask yourself, is it in root position or is it in inversion? Well, these are evenly stacked, right? It's going from line to line to line. You don't have anything, like clustered together real weird. So it's very evenly spaced, therefore it's in root position. The name of the chord's on the bottom. What's the name of the note on the bottom? Well, it's B flat, right? Some kind of B flat chord. Well, if you play the rest of the notes, play them together, what does that sound like to you? Does it sound happy? Not exactly, right? Let me play it down here. Does it sound sad? Well, yeah, it definitely does, right? But it doesn't sound tense. It just sounds regular sad. So therefore, this chord is a B flat minor chord. Oh, if you play a C major chord and then an F major chord, I can't tell which is which by ear. Neither can I, Rich. Nothing is wrong with you. I can't tell that either. Really, only somebody with perfect pitch or really good relative pitch could tell you just by ear whether this is an F major chord or a D major chord. Now, a lot of times what will happen is if you have a song you play all the time, you'll be more likely to be able to hear that chord. So say you know a song where the first chord's a C major. Well, sometimes if you had just been playing that chord, and that's because, or that song, it's because it's still in your head. If you hear that chord again, you'll be like, oh, that's the C major chord, the same chord I was playing. And it's because your brain's able to link. But very few people are able to actually remember where all the notes are. I have met some people with perfect pitch before, but I do not have it, and I can't do it either, Rich. So, and there's no 100% way for me to teach you how to do it, other than associate every chord with a song. But that gets really difficult, and most people can't do that. So, nothing is wrong with you. That's very, 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 very common. Okay, hold on a second, everybody. I will be right back around the corner. Okay, back again. Sorry about that. The allergies are driving me crazy, but doing good. So, anybody have any questions? So, I answer Rich's question. Nothing is wrong with him. I can't do that either. Hey, I just stumbled here not knowing this was tonight. So with you. Oh, great to have you, Gail. Great to have everybody with us. Jezebel's here. Allie of Anime's here. Oh, what can I do for you, Jason? Sure, what can I answer for you? Or anybody. Does anybody else have any questions? Because we're probably done with the main part of the lesson today. And like I said, we'll do another practice session of this in the future. Where just kind of like skip the introduction and just play the chord. So look forward to that. I'm not sure when that will be. Exactly, I'll probably do a different lesson next time. You saw a note has a number. Okay, were you talking with this, or am I just, wait a second. So Rich says, is it normal to take weeks to learn a song? Yes. It can even take months to learn a song. Very, 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 very common. You're not that slow. On top of it, it has a dot. And actually, when you see me play, sorry to interrupt my answer to somebody else's question, but when you see me play something and I get it like right away, or I play it like twice, and I'm able to play it like pretty decent, that took a long time to be able to do. There's a very long time where it took me a lot longer, but it depends on what your playing level is. I mean, if it's at your current playing level, then yeah, it's going to take you a few weeks to learn. If it's above your playing level, it'll take you months to learn. And below your playing level, yeah, it probably will only take a couple of, I don't know, days to learn. Yeah, Rich, when you were telling me you were learning Moonlight Sonata, I was thinking that it would be pretty tough. I mean, it's not an easy song. I am teaching it to a few students right now, and they are all struggling with it to some degree, especially those octaves in the left hand. Okay, on top of it has a dot. On bottom of it, I don't know what it is. Okay, let me think. I saw a note has a number. On top of it has a dot. On bottom of it, I don't know what it is. So I'll tell you what, I believe you were talking with me over Facebook, and I didn't quite understand your question. I was like kind of just reading it over to understand it. At least I think you were the one who messaged me on Facebook. What you want to do is you want to like take a screenshot of it somehow, whether you take a picture of it, if it's on paper, or you snip it online, like you copy and paste it. If you can send it to me and exactly what it looks like, I can tell you probably exactly what it is, as long as I've seen it before. But yeah, Rich, the Moonlight Sonata certainly is going to take you a long time. I don't think I have it all memorized. I already don't have it memorized, so it's been a while since I played it, but I think if I brushed up on it real quick, I'd have it. But yeah, that one is not easy for sure. Example, there's a quarter note and bottom of it has a dot. The bottom of the quarter note, oh, well, that's a staccato. You play real short. Yeah, I think so too, Rich. I wasn't completely sure. I think it's what you're referring to, Jason, is a staccato note, and if it has a number on it, that's telling you which finger number to play. I talk about these in some of my really early lessons if you want to check those out, but finger numbers go from, if you don't know, from thumb to pinky. So you have 5 number fingers on each hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thumb is always number 1, and then you count from thumb to pinky, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the other hand, it's the other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if it's telling you 5 on G, and it's a dot, if it's below the note, it'll be real short, like that. So hopefully that answers your question. If that doesn't, and you think it's something different, send it over to me, and I think I'll be able to answer it even a lot better. I'm trying to learn the second stanza for Elise. Very good, Jezebel. That's not an easy one for beginner, or for very beginners anyway. Really, even for beginners. I know a lot of students who struggle with that one. What if I saw a 1-5 on bass clef? A 1/5? I don't know. I mean, you'd have to send that to me. So a 1/5 on bass clef. One like a key. No, it can't be a time signature. I'm not sure. You'd have to send that to me, and then I can show you if it says 1/5. Sometimes, let me think about this. Sometimes what that means is like, say you're playing from C up to G, and then here it says G, it has the note G, and it says 1/5. I do remember now. You hit it with one, and then you switch it over to another finger, like that. So basically, you're just replacing one finger with another. Yeah, I think Rich, you have it right there. I think it's the one where you change. I just remembered that at first. I was like, I've never seen that before, but I have. Yep, that's probably what it is. So, if you're just joining us, by the way, we meet most Fridays and most Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, we will meet again, at least I'm pretty sure, this coming Sunday. Every once in a while, I have to cancel for one reason or another, which is why it's good to follow me on social media because, on Facebook and Twitter, if I can't make it, I say, hey guys, it's something came up, can't make it out tonight. So, I try to let you know in as advanced notice as possible. But it's really good if you are in touch with me that way, or if you ever want to shoot me an email and say, "Oh, hey Tim, are there going to be, live streamed class tonight?" But most Fridays and most Sundays we meet at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What time is it in your country? It is 8:39 in my country, in my side of the country. Rich says, when is the next Skype call? That's a good question. I've had trouble. I've been good with certain parts of the channel recently in terms of planning the next few lessons. I've been kind of like wonky about it only because I have just so much going on for this week. I think next week will be a little bit better for me to plan some things. But I definitely do intend on doing another Skype call. I need to just plan out those lessons first and what the discussion will be like. Still trying to work on the whole getting collaborators thing, but like I said, I just have so much right now. I think if I'll let you in on the inside workings of lessons on the web, at least for right now. So what's happening right now is I'm doing, as I've told you, Rich, but not others, that I'm doing a kind of a redesign of the website. Now it's going to look very similar to the old one. Basically, what we're doing is we're taking the website, we're moving it from one internet, provider, one website provider to another one. I can't believe my name is blanking on the name of that right now. But anyway, we're switching it from one web hosting. We're switching it from one web host to another. So we're moving the whole website over. But not only that, like what it's built on should operate a lot better. The server should be a little bit more reliable. And there's other things like SSL encryption and things we're putting in there. And the site does look better too. It will look a little bit better. It looks very similar, like the grand piano design. As you first load it up, you may be like, I don't see a whole lot of differences. But if you look carefully, there are some snazzy, like aesthetic differences, but also in the way it functions. You'll see what I mean. It will look very, very nice. Now, so that's like the main priority right now. My web developer had some problems recently, so not wrong with him. Life just happens kind of thing. So I'm working with him on just like kind of getting it back on track. So hopefully this coming week, we'll have the website up. So that goes first. So that's why I'm kind of like wonky on everything else, is because I'm really trying to get this project through. Very important, and I'm always a little wary of it because whenever you do something big like this, something breaks a little bit. Something on the website doesn't work right. So I always have to go over and make sure everything's working out great. So that's what I'm working on right now. So we are, very busy setting that up and working with Robin, getting some new strategies for our blogs that we write. And yeah, so that comes first. And then once that's done, I'm going to go back to making content for the Academy website because I haven't been able to do much of that either because of this as well. And then I'll get back to like the YouTube plan. But the website will be awesome. It will be totally worth it once it's done. I'm really excited. It looks by far the most professional version yet, but it looks even more professional than the one now. And actually, one of the great things about it is I hired a bunch of people to look at it for me, like, you know, pay them like $40 a pop to spend, you know, maybe an hour or a couple hours on the website telling me what's up. And then this version of the website corrects a lot of those problems. So in that case as well, it's very, very, very good. What country do I live in? I live in the United States. Rich says lessons on the web is the best. Thank you, Rich. Oh, the stream's freezing? Uh-oh. Huh. It's okay on my end. It might come back. Alright, everybody, just give me a second. Let me know if the stream is unfrozen. Sorry about that. I wish you could teach me personally. I could teach you over Skype. Now it'll cost some money because, you know, I have to do that to make a living. But if you're interested in Skype lessons, I could set those up with you. Meet you once a week over Skype, but that's totally up to you. You can think about that if you want. That's if you have a piano and everything to learn on as well. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here pretty soon. And because the main part of the lesson's been over for a while. But I'll stick around for a little bit. If you have any last minute comments or questions, feel free to say, you know, anything. Rich would like to do a Skype lesson. Okay, we can set one up, Rich. I'll tell you what, I've been meaning to message you on Facebook anyway. So I will, because we were talking about the business kind of thing. So I could, because I don't really want to talk about my schedule or your schedule on this public kind of thing. So I think what we'll do is we'll talk about it over Facebook. But yeah, I could give you a Skype lesson for sure. That would be really helpful. Even if you wanted to do one like once every like month or so, every once in a while, just for me to give you some feedback, that would also be good because I know you're, you know, studying on the website as well. I'm practicing all of me. I don't know all of me off the top of my head. Should I bring? You're gonna be in Philly in October. Should I bring my keyboard? Um, no, that's that's fine. What are you going to Philadelphia for? Is it for like work or something like that? But yeah, you can bring your keyboard. So we'll talk about doing a Skype lesson. Okay, great. Yeah, Rich, we'll schedule one of those together. I can do it probably. My schedule's really weird, but I could definitely fit one in. We could do one even like before one of these live streams, if that works out well. I could do it like maybe 7. Oh, there's a wedding your girlfriend's dragging you to. Okay, well that's cool. I mean, that doesn't sound like the most fun thing in the world, but hey, you know, weddings actually aren't so bad. Jason says when. When's what? Should I keyword when? And I can't play all of me because that's right. I was answering your question. Can't play all of me because I learned it a long time ago. Probably I put that video out over a year ago now, so I don't really remember how to play it. Oh, it's out of the way, really? Oh, you know what? I saw on Facebook. You're a fan of Mike, not Facebook, but Twitter. You're a fan of Mike Matei, aren't you? Have you seen James Rolfe's like thing where he goes around and films all the Rocky spots and talks about them? It's a really old video. I think he made it in like 2007, but it was really really cool. Jason says Skype lesson. Oh, I have Jason. If you, it depends. So message me over Facebook like you had before, and we can talk about a time. It now depends on what country you're in too. That's a big thing because if you're on the other side of the globe, it's going to be a lot tougher to schedule things, or even if you're a few hours ahead, makes it just a little bit trickier. But we can work something out. I can probably fit you in on the weekends for sure. Maybe you have time on Saturday or Sunday, or maybe even Friday before the live stream. I could probably, well, I probably shouldn't do that. I could do it once. I could probably put you in there once because I like to prepare, have like a little bit of time to eat dinner and then prepare for the live stream because I do have lessons before that I do, but I really should leave that time to eat dinner. But I could fit you in earlier on Friday for sure. Like, the same thing with you, Rich. I could do probably like, I could probably do like Friday morning, Friday early afternoon. But we'll talk over Facebook with both of you. So I think I have both of your, well, I definitely have Rich's. But Jason, just make sure we're in contact over Facebook and we'll message. Yeah, I love Cinemassacre. James is a big Rocky fan. Am I as well? Yeah, I like Rocky. I don't think I like him as much as James does, but James definitely loves Rocky, and that's a really fun video to watch. I should go back and watch it because, like I said, I think it came out in 2007. I remember I was in college when I watched that video, and I think it was almost 10 years ago. What if I don't have Skype, Messenger, call, can? It's really easy to get Skype, Jason. I believe it's free. Now, you do have to have an email or something like that, but it is free. It doesn't cost anything. You can call. I have a Skype number you can call. Now, I don't know. You'd have to look up any kind of phone charges that might happen. Like if you're doing long distance calling, because mine it's like an internet phone number, so it does. I don't think I get charged any more or any less if I use it around the world. But if you have a regular phone, like you can't call me over Skype, and we can do it that way. But it might cost you money. Like I don't know how much that costs. I know Skype is free for that. Okay, did James? That's an interesting question, Rich. Did James inspire you to create a YouTube channel? In a way, like it's weird because I do something so different, but for sure, that first wave of internet reviewers and stuff, kind of got me into the idea of putting something out on YouTube. So in a way, yeah, it's kind of weird that the Angry Video Game Nerd had anything to do with this channel. But I would say in a way it did. And not him specifically, like I guess to a degree him because he was one of the real big ones at first. But and all those people that came out of that and had their own shows. And I borrowed a lot of ideas from their shows. Especially actually the software I use to run all this stuff on the equipment is XSplit Broadcaster. They use that for streaming on Twitch and things like that. So I just use the same stuff they'd use. I need your username. My username is Lessons on the Web, so the same as the YouTube, or probably Liper. Liper, I didn't know Liper existed until after I started a YouTube channel. I mean, that's a weird thing to say because I had watched a few of the videos that existed on YouTube, and I'm sure I saw his, but I didn't really know who he was until after I started the YouTube. And then you start paying more attention about who's out there, who's putting out lessons, who is doing a really good job and things like that, or who is top of the game. And Liper, because he started in 2006, did it wrong. Very, very personal. He deserves it for sure. Very personal guy. But, he's got those millions of views. I want him. Do I play Love Sorrow? No, I do not. I do not. Alright, guys, unfortunately, I'm going to get going a little bit. Well, it's not even that early. It's almost 9 o'clock already. So, I would love to chat with both of you on Facebook about setting up a Skype lesson if you both are still interested. So, I'll probably, if I don't get to it tonight before I go to bed, I'll get to it hopefully tomorrow or at least this weekend, and then we'll converse back and forth and set something up for sure. I love teaching over Skype. I've done it with quite a few students. They've had a lot of success with it. And I think just playing for somebody directly would be really helpful. But it's totally up to you. So we'll be in contact and we'll go from there. Chopin. I've played some Chopin on the stream a little bit before, but I don't know the whole song. But yeah, certainly I've played some Chopin. Okay, great, Jason. So we'll be in contact over. Oh, sure. What's up? Oh, teach you that? That one, the Nocturne in E flat major. If you're really good, I can teach it to you, but it is difficult. You might have to work your way up to that. That's Chopin. Yes, I can do that, but like I said, we definitely would have to work up to that, I think. Or unless you're really, really good. I heard that on anime. Yeah, that one is on a lot of different things. Alright, guys, so I'm going to let you go. I can finally learn Moonlight Sonata. If I can finally learn Moonlight Sonata, I'm probably going to cry. If I work with you a little bit, I think you'll have it. So you and I will work together on that, get that going. So I would love to work with you, Rich, on that. And yeah, since Resident Evil 1, I remember you told me that when we first started doing the live streams, that it kind of inspired you. Oh, you don't have a piano, Jason? That's a little bit, that might cause a problem. I can see, if we talk a little bit after the stream, I can recommend some pianos for you. But you would almost definitely need a piano if you were going to do lessons. But yeah, Rich, we can definitely work on Moonlight Sonata. But you play piano. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll talk with both of you over Facebook. I'm going to get going here. Great talking with you both. And you're always welcome to come out to the stream again, Jason. Great to have you with us. And Rich, of course, is always our star pupil of the live stream. So anyway, guys, have a great one, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming by. And yeah, have a good one.